Welcome back. This is Buddhist Books B-Sides, in which I'll be reading a couple of books that we're not reading on A-Sides, which is to say Buddhist Books Podcast. So Buddhist Books Podcast started almost 5 years ago and has been going strong ever since. And we read all these books, not all of them. We read a lot of books. It's here if you want to check that out. And there's also in the description below, if you go to where it says A-Sides, you can click that. So B-Sides is to read a couple of other things that don't really fit. I mean, they fit, but there's a sort of rigid schedule over on Buddhist Books Podcast that's evolved over the years. And I did want to get to these, but I don't know. Why are these B-Sides and not A-Sides? I don't know. But, here we are. And the thing with B-Sides is, I have a few channels that I run, and I'm also, it's just me. I don't have an editor. There's no money involved. It's just something I like to do. And so part of the B-Sides thing is I give myself a little break from editing. So you might have noticed that this started with me pushing the record button, and it ought to end with me pushing the stop record button. The audio through this microphone is being recorded onto that computer back there. The desk back here is a mess. I didn't even bother to clean it up. And so all I do is take the audio there, match it with the video here, put the background music in, and upload it. Where normally I go through and add cartoon characters and things like that. When it makes sense to do that. Maybe it doesn't make sense to do that, but it's okay. You can check it out if you want to. Today's the first episode of Milinda Panha. And, I do my best. Well, I try with the pronunciations. It might be Milinda Panha, but we'll just go with Panha for now. So, basically, about 1,800 years ago, there was a Greek king. You remember Alexander the Great? So he, conquered the Persian Empire, and that basically included parts of northwestern India, as well as what we currently call Pakistan and Afghanistan and some other places. And then after he passed away, after some time, it broke into pieces, and I believe one of those pieces was the Parthian Empire, or Parthia, as it was called, and then that got wiped out eventually. But before, when it existed, there was a Greek king who ruled over parts of northwestern India, and that king was Buddhist. And as you might have guessed from my complexion and my clothing, I am sort of a fan of blurring the line between what might traditionally be considered Eastern and Western. Speaking to you from Goa, India, where I live with my wife, who is Indian. She's not from Goa, but anyway. She's actually from where Lord Buddha is from, which on our first date I was very impressed by. I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, that all happened over here. The university was, Nalanda University. We used to go there. I used to go there with my mom. We'd have a picnic. I'm like, let's get married. No, that wasn't the only factor that went in, but it definitely didn't hurt. So yeah, I came over here on my Buddhist pilgrimage and never left, basically. That's how it went, more or less. And yeah. Okay. So yeah, people think of, so-called Western civilization, and they think, well, yes, it's France, England, and Germany, whatever, but then there was the Romans, but then before the Romans there was the Greeks, so they trace their lineage. It seems to go further. The definition of West seems to move further and further east, do you include the Celts in West? Yeah, some people do. There's people who are into that sort of thing. And well, anyway, I feel like I've talked about it so much on other programs and in the past that I feel like I don't want to repeat myself too much by kind of stating the whole thing about, when it comes to ideas, philosophies, ways of life, I think that it's okay to think outside of the box of whatever, Anyway, I'm always going at loggerheads with Carl Jung on that, but all right. So I'm gonna begin reading it. This is my first time opening this book, and so let's see how it goes. I'm gonna make this episode will be about a half hour, so I'll be reading for the better part of 24 minutes. Not gonna read the table of contents. Well, yeah, why not? Okay, book 1, the secular narrative. Okay, that's on page 1, and it goes for 15 pages. So that's probably what we're going to be reading today, because I don't think there's an introduction. Yay! For no introduction. Part of not editing means if I need to do some biological thing, then I'll just try to do it as quietly as possible. Like burping. It happens. Usually edit that out. But no editing. It's my gift to myself. As soon as I finish recording here, I'll basically be done with the project for the day. Okay. So Book 1, the secular narrative. Book 2, Lakkhana Panha. Book 3, Vimati Kadana Panho. Okay. Book 4, The Solving of Dilemmas. Book 5, The Problem of Inference. We can infer a lot from... A lot of people don't seem to know, so I just, I'll take this opportunity to put it out there. To imply is to say something other than the literal thing that you're actually saying. What you're saying implies, right? When you hear someone saying something and you think, I think he means to imply this, you are inferring that. So some folks will say, are you inferring? When you say, no, you're inferring. I'm implying. Never mind. All right. Insinuating is another one. Book 6, The Dutangas. Book 7, Opama Katapanho. No relation. What are you talking about? Nothing. Of which there's chapter 1, chapter 2, the similes, chapter 3, the similes continued, chapter 4, the similes continued, chapter 5, the similes continued, chapter 6, the similes continued. I didn't know you could name chapters like that. They skipped chapter 5. There's chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. Is it an error? I don't know. Maybe. And Devadatta in the Gatakas. Okay, Devadatta, I believe, was Lord Buddha's cousin who was always trying to schism and start his own order. So this is considered a part of the Tipitaka in Burma, but not in Sri Lanka or Thailand. And now we'll begin reading Book 1, The Secular Narrative. I, King Milinda, at Sagala, the famous town of yore, to Nagasena. I've been getting his name wrong. Nagasena. Okay. Nagasena. Naga, the snake gods. I think I said it one time and then thought it was wrong because why would somebody be named Nagasena? I don't know. To Nagasena, the world-famous sage, repaired. Parentheses, why are there parentheses? So the deep Ganges to the deeper ocean flows. Okay. And parentheses. To him the eloquent, the bearer of the torch of truth, dispeller of the darkness of men's minds, subtle and naughty, Knotty, like the kind Alexander would cut, never mind, the Gordian knot. Subtle and naughty questions did he put many, turning on many points. Then were solutions given, profound in meaning, gaining access to the heart, sweet to the ear, and passing wonderful and strange. For Nagasena's talk plunged to the hidden depths of Vinaya and Abhidhamma, law and thought. This is the Vinaya Pitaka, which we've been reading for 4 years on A-sides, and then Abhidhamma, which we'll get to in another 20 years. I don't know. We're reading it every word and only half hour of it every couple times a week, so it's taking a long time. Okay, where were we? Vinaya and Abhidhamma. Unraveling higher doctrine, I think is the way they usually translate it. Unraveling all the meshes of the suttas net. Suttas is another way of saying sutras, I believe. There's a footnote, but then it doesn't say where to go to get the footnote. Probably toward the end? All right. Well, I should keep a finger back there so that we can check out the footnotes as we go? That's a question. The ass. That's in a different section. That's fun. All right, things to look forward to. Oh, it has its own index at the end of each chapter or each book? No. Okay, well, there's a footnote and there's no way to find, but it might be sutta means sutra, right? Okay. Unraveling all the meshes of the sutta's net. Glittering the while with metaphors and high reasoning. Come then, apply your minds, and let your hearts rejoice. I will, thank you, Your Majesty. And hearken to these subtle questionings, all grounds of doubt well fitted to resolve. 2. So there's book 1, I guess chapter 2, if you're going to divide things into books and chapters and verses, but that was a very short chapter, wasn't it? You could call the whole book a chapter, because this is a book, isn't it? So, I mean, never mind. Okay, 2, when you call your book a library, then each... Oh, hey, I think my next book, I'll do that. I'll say the such and such library, and then make each chapter a book, and then number them, and call them chapters. It's just to be weird. It's a good idea. Not a very good idea, but I'll do it anyway. Maybe. I don't know. I'll think about it if I have something to write. I used to write books. Then I got tired of that. After publishing 11 books, I started reading other people's books on YouTube. Weird thing to do. But anyway. I feel like I got it all out. I got all the stuff out of my head that I felt like I needed to get out of my head. So then there was empty space. So I thought I'd fill it up with other people's stuff and then mull it over and then start writing again in another 10 or 20 years. Just because. I don't know. There were some moments, but overall, okay, never mind. 2. Thus hath it been handed down by tradition. There is in the country of the Yonakas a great center of trade, a city that is called Sagala, situate in a delightful country, well watered and hilly, abounding in parks and gardens and groves and lakes and tanks, a paradise of rivers and mountains and woods. Wise architects have laid it out, and its people know of no oppression, since all their enemies and adversaries have been put down. Brave is its defense, with many and various strong towers and ramparts. I only know ramparts from the song. Ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, something like that. I don't know. What's a rampart? It's a war thing, isn't it? I don't know. I'll just keep reading. With superb gates and entrance archways, and with the royal citadel in its midst, white-walled and deeply moated, well laid out are its streets, squares, crossroads, and marketplaces. Well displayed are the innumerable sorts of costly merchandise with which its shops are filled. It is richly adorned with hundreds of almshalls of various kinds, and splendid with hundreds and thousands of magnificent mansions, which rise aloft like the mountain peaks of the Himalayas. I don't know. I'm supposed to I probably never pronounced that correctly, whatever correctly means. I just go with California English. It's correct in California English, so there you go. Like Buddhism is how you say it in California English, as opposed to Buddhism, which I guess is correct. Some people get all freaked out when you say Buddhism. They're like, it's not Buddhism, it's Buddhism. I'm like, okay, for you maybe. Anyway, easy for you to say. Where were we? I don't know. Its streets are filled with elephants, horses, carriages, and foot passengers, frequented by groups of handsome men and beautiful women, and crowded by men of all sorts and conditions, right? Everyone else. Brahmins, nobles, artificers, and servants, and them who shall not be named. No, the schedule, there's 5 castes. They usually only list 4 of them because the 5th one, they don't like to say even the name of them. Never mind. I'm mocking it because it's terrible. All right, never mind. I'm not saying that they're terrible. The caste system is terrible. That's for other people to tear down and rework, and but objectively speaking, I'll just keep reading. They resound with cries of welcome to the teachers of every creed. And the city, it's an old book, obviously, as I mentioned. And the city is the resort of the leading men of each of the differing sects. S-E-C-T-S, get your mind out of the gutter. Shops are there for the sale of Benares muslin, of a letter I've never seen, something Umbara stuffs, and of other cloths of various kinds. If we could stick to the Roman alphabet, please. Anyway. And sweet odors are exhaled from the bazaars. How bizarre. See, if this were A-sides, I might cut to da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. Anybody remember that song? Where all sorts of flowers, and there's also, I got a new air conditioning yesterday. My old air conditioning was very noisy, and still when I'm doing a proper episode of something, I leave it turned off, and it's very warm and humid here in the tropical rainforest that is Goa. I don't know if it's technically a tropical rainforest, but it does rain a lot for 3 months of the year, and then never mind. I think tropical rainforests rain more than 3 months of the year. I'll keep reading. Where were we? Those are mostly a South American thing, aren't they? I mean, I'm sure they have them in other places. I mean, I'm not sure. I watched Fern Gully as a kid, and that's about the extent of my knowledge of it. What? Yes, okay. Where all sorts of flowers and perfumes are tastefully set out. Jewels are there in plenty, such as men's hearts desire, and guilds of traders in all sorts of finery display their goods in the bazaars that face all quarters of the sky. So full is the city of money and of gold and silver ware, of copper and stone ware, that it is a very mine of dazzling treasures. And there is laid up, except you can just go up and steal it from a shopkeeper instead of having to hack into a big rock and then extract the silver. So, but I get it. It's fine. It's metaphorical speech. It's good. I mean, if this is a direct translation, supposedly this influenced the dialogues of Plato. So this Buddhist document is actually part of the soil underneath the roots of Western civilization. Sorry. And of gold and silver, we read that. And there is laid up there much store of property and corn and things of value in warehouses, foods and drinks of every sort, syrups and sweet meats of every kind. In wealth it rivals Uttar Kuru, and in glory it is as a letter I've never seen, Akamanda, the city of the gods. 3. Having said thus much, we must now relate the previous birth history of these two persons, Milinda and Nagasena, and the various sorts of puzzles. This we shall do under 6 heads. 1. Their previous history, or Puba Yoga. I might have to adopt that. All right, everyone should know my Puba Yoga. How is it that you came to be this guy? I don't know. It's my Puba Yoga, you know. 2. The Milinda problems. 3. Questions as to distinguishing characteristics. 4. Puzzles arising out of contradictory statements. 5. Puzzles arising out of ambiguity. 6. Discussions turning on a metaphor. Turning on a metaphor is one of my... And of these, the Milinda problems are in 2 divisions, questions as to distinctive characteristics and questions aiming at the dispelling of doubt. And the puzzles arising out of contradictory statements are in 2 divisions, the long chapter and the problems in the life of the recluse. Okay, there's big, bold title. Their previous history, Puba Yoga, in parentheses. 4. By Puba Yoga is meant their past karma, parentheses, their doings in this or previous lives. Okay, end parentheses. Long ago, they say, when Kasyapa, the Buddha, Mahakasyapa, I assume, was promulgating the faith, there dwelt in one community near the Ganges, or Ganga, they say here, a great company of members of the order. There the brethren, true to embellished rules and duties, rose early in the morning, and taking the long-handled brooms, would sweep out the courtyard and collect the rubbish into a heap, meditating the while on the virtues of the Buddha. You can meditate and sweep at the same time, so no more excuses, young man or woman. Gender non-conforming, whatever, 5. One day a brother told a novice to remove the heap of dust, but he, as if he heard not, went about his business, and on being called a second time, and a third, still went his way as if he had not heard. Then the brother, angry with so intractable a novice, dealt him a blow with the broomstick. This time, not daring to refuse, he set about the task of crying. He set about the task crying, and as he did so, he muttered to himself the first aspiration. Quote, within quotes, for some reason. The whole book is in quotes. Quote, may I, by reason of this meritorious act of throwing out the rubbish, in each successive condition in which I may be born up to the time when I attain nirvana, be powerful and glorious as the midday sun. End quote. 6. When he had finished his work, he went to the riverside to bathe. And on beholding the mighty billows of the Ganges, seething and surging, he uttered this second aspiration, quote, "May I, in each successive condition in which I may be born till I attain nirvana, possess the power of saying the right thing, and saying it instantly, under any circumstance that may arise, carrying all before me like this mighty surge." End quote. 7. Now that brother, after he had put the broom away in the broom closet, had likewise wandered down to the riverside to bathe. And as he walked, he happened to overhear what the novice had said. Then thinking, quote, "If this fellow, on the ground of such an act of merit, which after all was instigated by me, can harbor hopes like this, what may not I attain to?" End quote. He too made his wish, and it was thus, quote, "In each successive condition in which I may be born till I attain nirvana, may I too be ready in saying the right thing at once, and more especially may I have the power of unraveling and of solving each problem and each puzzling question this young man may put, carrying all before me like this mighty surge." End quote. 8. Then, for the whole period between one Buddha and the next, these two people wandered from existence to existence among gods and men. And our Buddha saw them too, and just as he did to the son of Mogali and to Tissa the elder, so to them. It's fun because I used to read things that would make reference to the old scriptures and not know what the reference was, but I know Mogali at least maybe I'll just keep reading. "So to them also did he foretell their future fate, saying, quote, 500 years after I have passed away, will these two reappear. The subtle law and doctrine taught by me will they too explain, unraveling and disentangling its difficulties by questions put and metaphors adduced." End quote. I think that the story of those two, that they reincarnate eventually into the Greek king in Parthia and Nagasena, the sage, right? I mean, it seems to be where it's going. When you've read enough of this kind of stuff, you start to kind of pick up on it. 9. Of the two, the novice became the king in the city of Sagali in India. Milinda by name, learned, eloquent, wise, and able, a faithful observer, and that at the right time of all the various acts of devotion and ceremony enjoined by his own sacred hymns concerning things past, present, and to come. Many were the arts and sciences he knew. Holy tradition and secular law, the Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, and Vaiseshika systems of philosophy, arithmetic, music, medicine, the 4 Vedas, the Puranas, and the Itihasas, astronomy, magic, causation, and spells, the art of war, poetry, conveyancing. In a word, the whole 19. Okay. As a disputant, he was hard to equal, harder still to overcome, the acknowledged superior of all the founders of the various schools of thought. And as in wisdom, so in strength of body, swiftness, and valor, there was found none equal to Milinda in all India. He was rich, too, mighty in wealth and prosperity, and the number of his armed hosts knew no end. So we read the first 9 chapters of the first book of the Milinda Panha today. And it seems like we haven't really gotten started. Yeah, that's true. Next time, we will keep reading. And that happens when we get to a 5 or a 0. There's a clock. There's a 10-sided clock over on A sides. And when it's the 0, then we read The Life and Liberation of Padmasambhava, these red books. And when it's 5, then we read The Matrix and Diamond, World Mandalas in Shingon Buddhism, which is in there, the other bookshelf. So ran out of space in this one. And yeah, so after this, so we just read Shingon. So if you're interested, you can go search for A-Sides down in the description. And the most recent video on A-Sides is Shingon Buddhism Part 12. Anyway, so yeah, so when we get to Padmasambhava again, then after that, we will continue reading The 14 Dalai Lamas, which is the other book we're reading on Buddhist Books B-Sides. And then when we get back around to Shingon again, after reading that, we will pick up where we left off in this book right here. I hope you're all having a wonderful day or evening or week, month, all of the above. And okay, I'm going to close the way I usually close, which is with the prayer that my dad and I used to do at the end of our morning meditations. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below, we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Until next time.